Right. So let's start with a simple thing. There is something even more important when it comes to handling something like COVID-19, a pandemic. Yes, technology could help, and there are different ways for technology to help us go through the pandemic. But there is even one more important thing, which sometimes people forget, which is common sense. I believe the one of the first ways to handle something like COVID-19 is common sense. There are lots of common sense things that we all could do and not do. For example, going in crowds, whether it be in a school, in a party, is not a good thing. Even staying indoor all the time inside, especially in big cities like San Francisco, New York City, or London, is also not a good thing. Common sense also says is that going to a beach is a good thing. It's outdoors, so you have the nice scenery. Usually, there will not be a lot of people in a beach, especially if you're living in a place like San Francisco Bay Area where there's a lot more beaches and it's actually cold. Okay, so our first question is what was the path you took to where you are today? Okay, so that's not directly related to the pandemic, but let's start there. I started as an engineer long time back, and I was working in two telecom companies. Then I went into research, got to graduate school at Brown, and then I moved to computer science research at IBM Research in Zurich. Then I was working at MIT Media Labs, and then at Intel Research in Berkeley. And after that, I moved to the business side to work at Oracle in the partnership and acquisitions team. And then after that, a couple of startups, and my most recent startup is Skive, I think. So I started as an engineer, went into research, went into the business side for big companies, and now on the small company side. The next question is how do you think the pandemic has impacted how you work? So interesting enough, pandemic has not impacted much, at least from a Skyward perspective. We have teams in UK, India, China, and here in US. There was no way even before the pandemic last year to have everyone on one single roof. So we had a very good remote work culture where 100% of our calls were video calls. We had set processes to use and interact through these video calls. It was a requirement that everyone has to use a video call. It's as simple as that. We also had various online tools, for example, Google Docs and Google Collaboration Suite for deeper collaboration. And that's why when things become a little bit restricted in the first half of this year, there was not a huge change because we already were working remotely and we continue to do so. One thing I would say is that with COVID-19, our work has increased twofold, both because of kind of the work we are doing, which is related to building machines that feel, ranging from aerospace to healthcare, as well as because we have already had those processes set up. So going from there to where we are now was very easy. So that's why our work has increased twofold since last March, I would say. One quick thing about working remotely. I believe there's a lot of video tools that are available for various ways to collaborate. Some are good, some are bad, but what I've seen is more or less everyone is equal. when picking a video collaboration tool, especially, you want to make sure two things. One, that the communication is secure from end to end. And secondly, the same tool works across border. And that becomes really important when you're working in multiple geographies, not just US, but outside US. Our next question is, why did you start this company? We started with a very simple use case a couple of years back, and that was the time when I was living in Berkeley. I was working at Intel Research, and after that, I was working at Oracle. So I was in Berkeley, the city, for a while, and I used to do a lot of salsa and ballroom dancing that time, which was great. I knew all the places to go to at a specific night on a specific day, and I was going there to dance. If there was no one inside to dance with, women obviously, then why should I actually spend the time and the effort to go there? Then I moved from Berkeley to San Francisco. That's where the trouble began, because I didn't really knew many people here. I also didn't knew which places to go to, and that was a simple pain point of the use case we started with: how to find places based on style and mood. And more recently, we moved from being a search engine to find places based on style and mood to where we are now, which is building robot companions, either for the aerospace sector or for the healthcare sector. We're using the same core technology that we have built, but using it for something that's much more critical, which is to build robots that could feel. Okay, with this, I believe we are at the end of our time. It was great to meet you all. I believe this was great, and we had some great questions. We will continue to have these live unscripted sessions much more often on various topics. So if you have any ideas in terms of what you would like me to cover, please do let us know. And in the meantime, please follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks.